Good morning. I have my coffee. I've got my Bengals gear. I'm ready to rock and roll the weekend. Hope you all are as well. I just want to hop on here real quick to kind of talk through a few of the benefits that you may be entitled to either through the VA or the DoD. I openly admit I am not a school certifying official. I'm not an SCO. This is just information I've learned since I've been working here and by using the benefits myself. You can always go to our website, veterans.nku.edu. Current student or future student, click on the tab, scroll down to schedule an appointment, and you can schedule an appointment with the school certifying official. They are the trained experts on all your VA and DoD educational benefits. I'm going to do a screen share here, I think. If I can see where it's at. It was just up just a minute ago. Of course, if anybody has any questions, I can just answer general questions. I'm also toying with the idea of possibly doing like admin days or administration days and mission days where I can help you get your benefits prior to you ever getting here. And that's important because if you wait to the day you show up to start school, classes start date, then you could go 6 to 8 weeks before you see that first paycheck, especially from the VA. And of course, it's going to take time for the VA or the Department of Defense, depending on what program you're using, to pay the school. So there are certain things you have to complete prior to ensure that you don't get dropped out of classes or anything like that. Unfortunately, we had quite a few folks that did not complete all the paperwork that was necessary and were removed from classes. Now we can fix it pretty quickly if you contact me, and we'll give the contact information on our Facebook page as well. But you can always call 859 572 7867 or email veterans, that's with an S, veteransresource at nku.edu, and we can get that knocked out for you. But it's best just to have all the paperwork done beforehand and get everything approved. Because even though you may be serving or that you did serve and you earn those benefits, if you don't have the paperwork in place, especially with the VA or the Department of Defense, you're not going to get those benefits. I always seem to have a student or two come in just about every semester saying, I need to get my Department of Defense tuition assistance. Well, there's deadlines for that. And if you wait prior to or wait till classes start, it's too late. So for Army Ignited, for example, which is the most used tuition assistance here at NKU, you have to have that completed no earlier than 6 months prior to the start of the school year or the start date of the school class date, and no later than 7 days prior. But if you even wait that long, you run into a risk of not getting it approved in time. So plan early, plan ahead. Um, the Kentucky National Guard tuition assistance is another one that's pretty popular here. Wish it was more popular. We need more Kentucky National Guard members to take advantage of their benefits because they get free tuition. So at any state school. So, but you have deadlines, and if you're for the fall, you have to have it completed by April 1st, and if it's for the spring semester, you have to have it completed by October 1st. And so you just do that on the Kentucky National Guard Tuition Assistance website, but plan ahead. Put it on your calendars. Again, I had people walk in and they're like, "Oh, I need to get my Kentucky National Guard," and school's already started. You're probably not going to get that approved. There's an outside chance that you might be able to, but that is at the state level at that point. We have nothing really to do with that except to help you utilize those benefits to help cover that tuition. All right. So let's see about moving on here. So I just had where I could share my screen because I just want to run through real quick some of the most used benefits and just a few highlights from them, and maybe a few tips and tools that are done along the way. So let's see here. That's not it. That's not it. As I'm clicking around looking for that share tab, it was on the prep. When you do prep, it automatically popped up, and now that I'm on the live post, it's not popping up immediately. But what we can do is kind of just talk through them anyway. So, and of course, if anybody jumps on, has any questions, I'm going to save this video, so that's why I'm going to continue on, even though we have no viewers. That's okay. It's early on a Friday, so, but I wanted to kind of just give again some tips and tools around some of the things that you can use for your VA and DO, Department of Defense educational benefits. So, we're going to talk a little bit about post 9/11, the GI Bill, Chapter 33. Your Montgomery GI Bill, which is Chapter 30. The Chapter 31, remember, that's the ones that you paid $100 in for 12 months for. Your Survivors and Dependents Educational Assistance, your Chapter 35. Again, a very popular one. Um, Talk real quickly about the Donovan Scholarship, because a lot of people are not familiar with that. And you can use the Donovan with the Chapter 35. You can use the Donovan with just about any of them. The Kentucky Tuition Waiver, which is a state benefit. So Chapter 35 is a federal VA benefit. Tuition waiver is a Kentucky state benefit only, and you can use Chapter 35 with that. Chapter 1606, another popular one here, especially with Guard and Reserves. And we'll talk a little about the old VOC rehab program. That's the Chapter 31, or now it's called the Veteran Readiness Employment Program. And then we'll quickly run over tuition assistance. Is probably the one that's least used, but it is used here at NKU. And I wish more active duty and reserves would use that program here at NKU as well. But we'll talk a little bit about each one of those. So Chapter 33 or 33T, that again, that's that post 9/11 benefit that you can utilize once you get out of the service. You can use it if you're a Guard and Reserve member, possibly as well if you have deployments and you qualified for that. But most are veterans coming out of the service to utilize those benefits. So the VA did a study a couple years ago, and what they found is about 75% of all service members, when they leave the military, will go to a higher education. So, I'm not going to go into it today about the universities that you should choose, but make sure you choose one that's not only military friendly. I don't think I've ever ran across a university that said, "Oh, we're not military friendly," but you want to make sure that they're also military ready. We're fortunate enough to be rated in the top 10% in the nation as a military ready university. So just keep that in mind as you shop around and look around. And also don't get, and I don't mean to get off subject here, but I want to just push this point home. Use the GI Bill comparison tool, but when you do that, make sure you're accurately comparing what's happening around you. And I'm just not going to give the university name, but I'll give you an example. There is a local university here where if you chose to go to school there, you would actually make more money for your MHA, your military housing allowance, your stipend, your monthly stipend. But with that, the cost of the school, the amount of the parking, all those additional charges and costs, you're actually going to make a little bit less than if you just came to NKU. So just do a good comparison, make sure it's a right fit, because we want to make sure that you are set up for success for the long term. So the Chapter 33 and the 33T is the most used benefit throughout the nation and here at NKU as well. 33T just means it was transferred. So I get this question a lot. So, and I actually had a veteran that was very upset with me when I told him this answer, but and it was funny because the wife is like, it's not his fault. He's just giving you the information. But if you're a veteran, you cannot transfer your Chapter 33 benefits to your dependents, spouse, and children. And reason for that is the 33T, the transfer of those post 9/11 benefits, is a active duty retention tool. So you have to be on active duty to be able to do that. So I get that question quite a bit. All right. It does cover all in-state tuition and some of the fees as well. Um, be, when you use 33 for, say, a private university, just be careful with that. So I kind of did this to myself when I was on active duty. When I used 33 and top up as our TA and top up, which I'll talk about real quick in just a minute. But the big thing is, if that school is not a Yellow Ribbon school, then you may still pay out of state. So you want to make sure if you go to a private school, you don't have to worry about it here at NKU because even though we're considered a Yellow Ribbon school, the truth of the matter is it's really for private universities to offset those additional costs that you would have to pay out of pocket. The university would cover that, so you can still use your Chapter 33 benefits and not pay anything out of pocket. No worry here at NKU whatsoever. You do get about $1,000 a year on a book stipend. That's broken into two $500 payments for the fall and spring semester. You do get a monthly BAH here at NKU. It's based on the location of the school, so it's the address of the school, so not where you're at. So I had a gentleman call me from New Jersey and says, "Well, I live in New Jersey, so I'm going to get paid that higher rate." It was like, I don't know, 2,100 or something like that, and it's like, can't do that. It is at the base of the school, so it's 1482 here currently, and that went up almost $100 from last year. So just keep that in mind. It does move. There is a monthly verification required. This is brand new with the Chapter 33 and 33T. Brand new requirement as of last January. Um, it basically, what happens once you get your first monthly stipend from BAH MHA, the VA will text you and they'll say, "Hey, do you want to opt into the text message verification?" Highly recommend that because it's the easiest thing to do. You don't have to worry about it. If you do not do that monthly verification, you will not get paid. So it's the easiest way to do it. You don't have to memorize anything. They'll text you. You text back, say, "Yep, I'm still in school." All right. Benefits can be arranged. So a lot of people get that confused as well. So it depends on the amount of service time you have. Active duty, if you did your 4 years, 6 years, 8 years, 20 years, whatever the case may be, you're probably going to have max benefits 36 months, 100%. But if you're, say, a guard member or a reservist and you deployed, say, 90 days, you're only going to get 50%. So it just ranges between 50 and 100%. Depending on the length of active duty side. And for Guard and Reserve, that's Title 10, right? That's federal benefit time. It can be, like I said, be used by veteran or dependent. It is 36 months of benefits, and people get that confused. Even though it's 36 months, it really covers a 4-year school program if you utilize the benefit correctly, or traditionally, I guess I should say. If you were previous Chapter 30, I used to be a previous Chapter 30. I had to relinquish my Chapter 30 benefits. That was the Montgomery GI Bill. That's the $100 a month you pay for 12 months. Going in to qualify for the Chapter 33. Chapter 33 is an awesome program. It pays a lot more than Chapter 30. It provides a lot more benefits than Chapter 30. You can use it as a top up. I'll talk about that in a second. It's not recommended for the most part, but it is an option. And some people choose to do it, and I did. I got my master's by using the top up program. Again, it's paid monthly, and there's different rates by the different ones. Okay, so with top up, basically what that does is use your DoD, Department of Defense tuition assistance to cover $250 per semester hour. It doesn't cover all your costs. So to cover all those costs, what you can do is you can use your Chapter 33 benefits and top up to cover the remaining balance of that, strictly for active duty service members. Active duty only. All right. Now the key to that is uh, it, if a 3-month course costs a certain amount, service member gets approved, half the cost of tuition assistance top up will cover the other half, but subtract the 3 months out of the top-up program's 36 months of offer payments. What that basically means is you're giving up 3 of your months that you would receive for Chapter 33 if you were using it just as a Chapter 33 benefit, which includes, again, a stipend, books, payment of tuition. That it utilizes all those benefits even though you're only using it for that top up piece. So you don't get all those additional benefits. And if you're active duty, you don't get the MHA, all right, the Military Housing Allowance or BHA, because you can't double dip. you already get that. So just be careful if you're using it. So like I said, some people say, yeah, I have a couple of students right now are using Top Up and says, listen, one of them's getting their master's. I was like, I'm done after this. I'm just want to use my benefits while I can. I get it. I did the same thing, so I understand. I little bit regret doing it that way. Probably should have chose a different university, but that's a different story. It was a long time ago. But now I'm working to actually get a father in my education, and I don't have as many benefits that I would have had if I would not use this top up. So it's just something to keep in mind. All right, so chapter 30 again, very few people even have this anymore. If you were in the service past 9/11, it transferred over, you opted in to transfer over to chapter 33 to be part of the post 9/11, and then as part of the Forever GI Bill as well. Uh, I have at least one, maybe two students that are still using Chapter 30 just because they feel more comfortable with it, they're familiar with it. But remember with Chapter 30, it doesn't cover any tuition. Chapter 33 does. So keep that in mind. You have to pay out of pocket. You do get a monthly MHA, BHA, monthly housing allowance, BHA, however you want to say it. Um, there is a monthly verification ride. There's no book stipend, and you can get up to 36 months of benefits. The Chapter 35, again, a very popular one that's for the dependent and spouse to utilize. That is a federal benefit. Federal. So you have to apply for all the federal VA benefits at va.gov. Apply for education benefits. You have to do that and get your certificate of eligibility. Submit that to our office or to the school certifying official, SCOs. You can do that by sending your certificate of eligibility to veterans with an S, veterans at nku.edu, or veterans with an S resource at nku.edu. And what happens, we'll upload your COE into it. Unfortunately, right now, we cannot see what your benefits are. So that's the only way we know that you receive benefits and how many benefits you receive. And every time you use them, we don't kind of be able to keep track, so we're not sure how many you use. If you do, you need to call the VA. The VA GI Bill hotline number is 888-442-4551. That's 888-442-4551. Anytime you have those VA questions, you need to contact them directly. Um, Payments, we can't see payments as well. What we can see is what we put into the system, so we know if you're certified or whatever the case may be. All right, with Chapter 35, it does not cover tuition. I get this all the time. Like two or three people contacted me this semester and it's like, oh, my tuition wasn't paid for. I was like, okay, your Chapter 35, remember, does not cover tuition. You are responsible for tuition under Chapter 35. What it does cover is a monthly MHA, BH, whatever you want to call it, housing allowance, stipend. For Chapter 35, it's a little bit different, so it depends on how many hours you have. One thing I didn't mention with Chapter 33, you have to be over half time. You have to be three-quarter time or full time, and you have to be full time, 12 hours or more for undergrad, six traditionally for graduate. It depends on how many weeks you're in school. It could be 3 hours for 5 weeks, so on and so forth. I'm not going to go through all that right now, but just realize to get that maximum MHA BHA, you need to be full time. And it's the same thing with Chapter 35. However, with Chapter 35, unlike Chapter 33, you can be any range. So if you're under half time, you still get a little bit of a stipend. It's just not as much. So currently, it's 1401 a month for full time, and there is no monthly verification yet. There's talk about having that be maybe a text as well, so we'll see. There's no book stipend, and it can only be used by the spouse and child. It can be 36 months or up to 45 months, depending on how it's set up. I will just talk real quickly about Donovan Scholars as well, because I have a few that use Donovan Scholars. It's a great program. It's really for Kentucky residents. Again, Kentucky residents, 65 years of age. It's a state benefit. 65 years of age or older, pursue credit-bearing coursework at NKU for a degree or for personal enrichment without payment of application fees or tuition. You are responsible as a student for book supplies, parking, and any taxes that may be there. You can do it for non-credit courses or not included in this benefit. But again, you can do it as a pursue credit bearing or as a personal enrichment. So we have quite a few students that take advantage of this. So it's a great program. I have several Vietnam vets that actually use this program that might not have any other ways to do other things. So it's a great program. All right, the Fry Scholarship is part of that, Chapter 33, but it's concluded as a dependent spouse benefit. It is really for children and spouses of active duty service members who died in the line of duty on or after September 11th, or members of a selected reserve who died from a service-connected disability or after September 11th, 2001. It does cover, similar to Chapter 33, tuition and fees are paid. You do get $1,000, again $500 each for stipends, and you get E5 rate BAH, same, right, as Chapter 33, 1482. And this is eligible for spouses until they remarry or dependents until they're at the age of 33. Now, the Kentucky tuition waiver is traditionally used with Chapter 35. Again, Chapter 35 is a federal benefit. Chapter 30, Kentucky tuition waiver is a state benefit. It does cover all in-state tuition and fees. I had this question yesterday. I was like, well, if I go to a private university, can I still use this benefit? No. This is for state schools only. So it doesn't cover anything that's a private university, but it does cover, again, in-state tuition and fees. There's no monthly BAH or anything like that. It's strictly a tuition waiver, as it says. However, if you qualify for the Kentucky tuition waiver, you also qualify for the federal Chapter 35 benefit. So you apply for both, right? And you apply for the Kentucky tuition waiver through Kentucky Department of Veterans Affairs. You can easily just Google it, right? Kentucky tuition waiver, and it'll pop up, and you do the application. You submit all the paperwork and everything through the state, Kentucky Department of Veterans Affairs. They send a kind of like a certificate of eligibility. They send you a document stating that you've been approved and what that looks like, and then you provide that to the school of your choice. Hopefully that's NKU. All right. There is no book stipend, like I said. It can be used by the spouse or child until the age of 26. The exception to that rule is if it was what they call a 505, which is a spouse or child can use it if the veteran or military member was killed in action. So then it's that part's waived. It does expire. It does expire, and I warn people about this all the time. If you receive any degree or certificate from any university, then it is used. So just keep that in mind. So you can't use it for a associate's, then use it for a certificate, then get it for a bachelor's and then a master's, doctor, whatever case. One degree or certificate. It is a total benefit of 45 months, and again until the child turns 26. The key here is the veteran. The veteran, not the spouse or the child, but the veteran must be a Kentucky resident to qualify for that. All right, Chapter 1606, another popular one here. It's primarily used for National Guard and reservists. There is no tuition associated with the Chapter 1606. This is a federal VA benefit, so you have to apply for it at va.gov, apply for benefits. Monthly, you do get a stipend, MAH, BH, whatever you want to call it. I think it's about $407 right now per month. You do have to have at least a 6-year obligation, and you do have to do a monthly verification. And they do not do it via text message right now. It's only online through what they call Waves program. You have to log in and say that every month you are still in school, or no change in status, you still full time, and yeah, you get about $407 a month. It's a great program for National Guard because it's that little extra that they may not qualify under other programs. There's, again, no book stipend, no tuition, and it is for National Guard and reserves. All right, tuition assistance. Obviously, all the branches have tuition assistance to include Space Force now. Yes, there is a Space Force. I keep having that argument, but there is a Space Force. Again, almost all of them, I think all of them actually, do cover about $250 per semester hour, and then the students required for the remainder of it, unless you use that top-up program. All right. I'm trying to think if there's any additional things I need to tell you about tuition assistance. I think the biggest thing, again, got to get it in on time. So all of them are a little bit different depending on your branch, but Army Ignited, our Army tuition assistance is the most used right now here at NKU. and you have to have that. You can't put it in no earlier than 6 months prior to the course start date, and no later than 7 days prior. But you need to get it in. You don't wait till 7 days prior because you want to get in. Anybody that's used Army Ignite, I know it's a real pain in the butt. It's getting better, it really is, but it is a pain. We do have two CAC readers here in the office. They can come in and fill out your request for tuition assistance. So those get utilized pretty regularly on a regular basis. So, but uh, you need to talk to your education office if you're not at a post or base. When you log in, for example, Army United, it gives you the on the right hand corner. It tells you um, where your education office is located, especially for Guard and Reserves. It's kind of really a big player for the reserves. Click on that, and it gives you detailed information how you can get in touch with them. And I've had several students have to get in touch with them with different issues and problems they're having with their TA. And knock on wood, the education office has been awesome. They've helped every single one of them. So it is good. All right, the last one I think I want to talk about today is Chapter 31. This is an employment benefit, not an education benefit. I cannot stress that enough. This is an employment benefit, not an education benefit. You receive Chapter 31 veteran readiness employment because they're going to continue to follow up with you on a regular basis until you have gainful employment. Now, a great program. A lot of students utilize this. And with the new law change, 2 years ago now, you can actually use your Chapter 31 without it really affecting your Chapter 33. There's some play in there. So when you talk to your veteran readiness and employment counselor, they'll go over the details of that. But it's a wonderful program. It covers tuition, it covers books, it covers fees, it covers supplies, it covers parking, which no other benefit does. And they'll provide you just basically anything and everything you may need to be successful in school. So I've had students get laptops, printers, paper. You get $50 in supplies a semester. Your, like I said, books covered and everything else. So it is a wonderful and great program. You have to be at least 10% service connected disability. And again, it's an employment program. I have a student right now that is finishing up their Juris Doctorate of becoming a lawyer this semester. They've used it since they were getting their bachelor's, their undergraduate degree. You can use it for an extended amount of time. It only goes up to 48 months, and that is even with combination of any other benefits like your Chapter 33. However, Chapter 31 is a little bit more um, I don't know if friendly is the right word, but they can do certain waivers. They can help get through that. If you want to be a lawyer, they understand it's going to take longer than 48 months. They can get you through that. You can use it. I've seen very seldom, but I've seen people get doctorates with that program. I've seen people get their masters with that program. They have to get certified. Social worker, for example, had to have a master's in social work. So it's a beautiful and wonderful program. You have to contact the representative and you apply online and they'll contact you. We can provide all that information if you just want to shoot me an email. Veterans with an S resource, veterans resource at nku.edu. Again, a wonderful program. There's a few things that have to go through that process with Chapter 31 to get that tuition paid, the parking paid. Your books are set up a little bit different. Everything's set up a little bit different with Chapter 31, but it is a great program. If you can work through the little nuances of that program, then it is a wonderful program to do. All right. What does a student need to do to use their benefits at NKU? First, go to va.gov, apply for benefits if it's a VA program. If it's tuition assistance, go to your branch's service webpage and fill it out. Kentucky National Guard has their own webpage, so on and so forth. Get that done. Once you get that, submit your certificate of eligibility to us, UC 131, or Veterans Resource at nku.edu, or veterans at nku.edu. And then use the benefit before classes start, but once you have enrolled in all your classes, you have to complete an NKU VA certification form. It's called the Semester Enrollment Certification Requests. I call it the SECR, SECR, after enrolling a course for each semester. This is the primary reason people who don't get paid on time or their tuition doesn't get done on time. Do it every single semester because people forget. It is the number one cause of non-payment. Absolutely. And it has to be done. So it kind of gives NKU permission, to contact the VA on your behalf to be able to get that stipend and that tuition request and so on and so forth. You do that for every benefit, tuition assistance, Chapter 33, Chapter 31, no matter what. You got to fill out that form. 1606, no matter what, fill out that form. The easiest way to find it is on our website, veterans.nku.edu. Go to the right hand side, gold buttons. You'll see 4 of them. Third button down is the seeker form. I have training videos on the website as well, on our training and media, to help you fill that form out. You can always come in here and we'll show you. It's really quick. It's really simple. It takes, literally once you log in, it takes 10 seconds, 15 seconds to fill it out and complete it. All right. You can also find it on Canvas, and again, if you want to email me, and we'll send it out to you too. Now remember, it can take the VA up to 6 to 8 weeks to process. So the earlier you get that seeker form in, that semester enrollment certification request, the quicker we can get it to the SCO and get it processed for you. All right, again, go to our website, veterans.nku.edu, and you'll be able to find all this information, or most of that information. And if you have any questions, give us a shout, give us a holler, shoot us an email, and we'll be happy to help. And I appreciate you watching. Thanks. Bye.